the truth that they are hiding. It's nothing that I fear, and I know that hate is my list. I'll burn every possible kiss. So tell me why it matters, and tell me what you need. The love that I feel, what else will make me feel this way?
Wow, what a wonderful intro. No gotcha journalism tonight. On tonight's Deeper Issues Nerdcast, it's the Wednesday after WonderCon. So how was the show? Also, we catch up with the one and only Bob Gurr. Stick around because your fandom does await.
Fantasies of God, fantasies.
Welcome back to the place where we think all the deep thoughts about all the shallow things until we've been put below the ground. I'm not sure which Instagram we're live on. It could be DINC. It could be the Deeper Issues one. We're live on YouTube and Facebook as well. This is the Deeper Issues Nerdcast. All right, settle down. Stop it. This is your first time joining us. What we do here is we take the weekly geeky zeitgeist, make it accessible and digestible. So whether you're a total newbie or a level 99 pop culture wizard, myself and my panel of nerd-splainers usually have a PhD in pop culture in order to help you discover what kind of nerd you really are. So welcome to the gateway to all things nerdy. Welcome. Oh, no gatekeeping allowed. Sorry, forgot that part. Gateway to all things nerdy, no gatekeeping allowed. Welcome to the Deeper Issues Nerdcast. All right. Hello, everybody coming in. I'm giving, I guess, some time. Like I said, I don't know which Instagram we're on, but if you're joining us on Instagram, hello. If you're joining us on YouTube, hello. This is a little bit of a late night edition. This is the post WonderCon episode. Usually, this is the part of the show where I introduce myself. My name is Pablo Romero Estevez. I'm the host here at the Deeper Issues Nerdcast, and then my panel of nerd-splainers. Usually, Tie Photography, my cousin Olivia, the only good ditty in North America, King. But this week it's just me. Sorry, y'all. It's post WonderCon. We've had a busy week. We hit the ground running since getting back, as well as just had things within our life that, are taking precedence at the moment. But I'm here just to give you guys, I guess, a recap on the show. We met a lot of really cool people at WonderCon. Thank you so much if you swung by our booth, 1409. We were first-time exhibitors. We went in there blind, not really knowing what to expect, what we would be doing, but we did it. We sold some VHS tapes. We had some pretty cool signings. We met a lot of really great people. I was on a panel, which I will talk about. I was invited to be on a panel, in which I didn't really know what to expect, but it was still amazing. It was a great overall week or weekend. Sorry, all the days are meshing together. Since WonderCon, from the moment we reloaded from the end of the con, which was really interesting because they give you a whole day to set up, which is nice. And then they give you like a couple hours as soon as the con closes to break down and get out of there, which is chaotic. And I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest with you. We thrive under the chaos sometimes. So since the moment we left, we've been moving into our new location at the Friedman Building in the Orange Circle in beautiful Orange, California. And we're trying to get everything up and running, hopefully by the weekend, at least make it a nice, like, soft opening. I've had a lot of people reach out, even pre-WonderCon, wanting to know when they can get back into DINC video and shop out all their VHS fantasies, and we're very close. It was just kind of 2 weeks before WonderCon where we learned that we had to move locations, which was wild, but all for the best. And yeah, now we have a really cool new location. It's just a block away from our previous location. If you had been there, still appointment only. However, we are flying in a safer zone, and now could even do like walk-ins. And it is kind of still a hidden location, but we have like a nice little A-frame that we'll be able to put outside that'll allow people access to DINC video off of the street. Wild. We did speakeasy things. We paid speakeasy prices, and now we're legitimizing a little bit more. I was trying to stick to the philosophy of the may we never be considered legit, but here we are, legitimizing. Thank you, Quan Cow Y5S. Thank you for your subscription, by the way. Welcome. I'm gonna try to keep an eye on the chat. I can't say. Yes. Okay. Oh, yeah. Kristen Marie. Yes, we did find a new place. In the Friedman building, right above Deluxe and Zocalo. It's a really cool spot upstairs. It's a historic building. And it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's got 12-foot ceilings. And we've been setting up there kind of like I said from the moment we unloaded. So we are very excited to announce that we will have a new location here, and I'll be able to open up. We like once more even got like new like appointment processes and everything like that. So it's cool. Let's talk about WonderCon. So if you've never been to WonderCon, WonderCon is the same folks who do San Diego Comic-Con. It's comiccon or .org, I guess, or the Comic-Con, which is a nonprofit, by the way. Actually, look, before I get into this, normally the formula of the show is we go around and we talk about what we learned this week, because not only do we nerd explain stuff, we try to kind of have those human moments where we explain what we learned through the week. Nice. Groovy Ghost Vintage, selling VHS players. Or VCRs. I don't know why I say VHS players. So we left Neverland and we forgot. Yeah, so we normally talk about a little, what we learned. So I'm going to kind of, I guess, go through WonderCon because this whole segment kind of goes through what I learned. And we don't really have a haul. We normally tend to visit comic shops. I'll get to that point of the show when I talk about that point of the show. And then we also kind of break down the weekly geeky news. But this week, we actually do have a really cool conversation with the legendary Bob Gurr, Disney Imagineer, Bob Gurr. And we found out some new fun things about him, as well as discuss some of his experiences working directly for Walt Disney, creating some of the moving things that are synonymous now with Disneyland. So yeah, we got a cool episode. It's gonna be a short one. It's gonna be fun. Like I mentioned, this is a cool jumping on point or jumping off point. I don't know. Ty and Olivia will be back next Wednesday, and maybe a special guest. We might have maybe John of the Second Last Blockbuster joining us as well. Considering nobody gets, apparently there's like a new strain of Yovid circulating. I don't know, but we'll see. But this should be back by next Wednesday. But this segment, what did I learn this week? I guess let's just go through the normal segues as if this is a normal episode, because it absolutely is.
I feel like I learned something.
WonderCon was an entire learning experience from beginning to end. What it is to be an exhibitor at WonderCon is pretty amazing. It was really cool seeing things from the other side of the spectrum. The last, I don't know, 6 or 7 years since moving to Orange County, I've been going to WonderCon pretty much every year. And it's kind of been really cool because I went as an attendee. I got to go as a pro. I got to go as press. And this was the first time we got to go as an exhibitor. And it was wild, and all the anxiety and things go with being an exhibitor. You're a little portion of the party. And what is your little corner gonna look or feel like. And anybody that knows anything about us or me and at Deep Issues Nerdcast, we don't like to do things halfway. We like to create experiences. We like to bring vibes. We like to bring the good energy. Like all our philosophy is very much about being welcoming, being accessible, but welcoming to everybody, no matter what your fandom is, or if you don't even really necessarily know what your fandom is and are trying to discover that. That's the other thing. That's why we're the anti-gatekeeping podcast. We want to make things accessible, and we wanted to create a really cool space that was inviting to people who maybe had never heard of the Deeper Issue Nerdcast, let alone DINC video, because of the fact that it's something that derives from that, or vice versa. So we wanted to create a really cool, fun, inviting space. And from the moment that we submitted and got approved and everything, that email that came from the fine folks at Comic-Con, the wheels started turning, the hamster started running, and we were trying to create something cool. And I think we did it. I feel good in our initial presentation. Luckily for me, for us, and shout out to everybody that was on my team, that you might have not met me while you were at the booth. You might have met Chandra. You might have met Olivia. You might have met Ty. You might have met Jessica. You might have met Yuli. There was a lot of people that were there. You might have met John, that were just like contributing. And firstly, I gotta, I guess, say thank you to my team, because everybody that you met there hopefully brought the great energy that I know that they all have. And yeah, I could have done it like without all of them. Like, this is not a single person's effort. Like, everybody, it was all hands on deck. The time came to, and we all did it. But it was a really fun and interesting experience. Firstly, what I didn't know, because we rented a U-Haul. We're like, you know what? No point. I have a truck, but I'm like, I'm not going to just dump everything in the bed of my truck and do 5 or 6 trips. Let's throw it all in one big U-Haul. Not that expensive, $20 a day or whatever it may be. And get it there. What I didn't know is that you could drive. Firstly, the Anaheim Convention Center, fun fact, is, as far as square footage goes, the biggest convention center in Southern California, from my understanding. And yeah, it's got 3 floors. It's awesome. It's really huge. And the wildest thing about WonderCon is, once you get there, if you've seen it from the perspective of an attendee or for press, once the doors open, it is a city full of art and fandom and joy and music and hustle and bustle and noise and all that fun stuff. But whenever you get there, and we got there early, it is a big industrial space, which is wild. Seeing WonderCon or the convention center just like empty like that is just a big industrial space. And we were lucky enough, because I have all the anxiety. I'm like, and I live 3 miles or 4 miles from the convention center. I'm like, we got to get there early and just set up and be one of the first people there and just get a good lay of the land and everything. And I anticipated there'd be like so many people, but actually, like, a lot of the vendors and exhibitors didn't show up till like after like noon or like 11 o'clock, whatever it may be. So we had a little bit of an edge there, and I got in there, and it was wild. I can drive this 10-foot U-Haul truck right into the convention center, right up to our booth. And yeah, just pull up right there and unload the U-Haul right next to the little area where you should be. And they got these guys in these little carts that drive you around, which was really fun. I'm sorry, not drive you around, guide you. Sorry, guys. I have to. This is normally I have Ty and Olivia here to talk while I'm over here taking awkward drinks. So it'll just be like either ASMR or dead air while I'm drinking really quick in between speaking. Hopefully dead air, because the ASMR of me sipping out of a bubbly water doesn't sound great to me. As you can also hear that my voice is a little raspy because I've been talking so much through WonderCon and beyond. But yeah, it was really interesting being able to drive up there. And like, yeah, we had a massive layout and a massive setup. If you guys visited, we wanted all the neon glow. We brought, we didn't bring the Diddy couch or the red couch, because I knew it was going to be too big for the space. We had a 10 by 10 foot space. And like I said, we had to maximize that space, which I hope that we did. We filled it with VHS tapes. We filled it with a lot of CRT TVs, a super cool mid-century couch, and a lot of love. And I'd say it paid off. Like it was exhausting. I won't lie to you guys. The 12 hours that they gave you to set up before WonderCon were all used to set up our booth at WonderCon. And we don't have like a massive team. I named my team members here at the top of the show. It was us. Well, it really wasn't even everybody. It was maybe myself, it was my friend Damien, my friend Ruben. Shout out to them as well, who came just like without asking any questions. We're gonna help you set up. And then Chandra showed up later at the end of the day as well, and helped set up as well. And Yuli was also there helping set up. And yeah, most of the day was just spent figuring out configuration, how to make it work the best. We had a corner booth, luckily enough. How I will say that also seeing it from this end, normally, if you've ever been to WonderCon, at the very front and in the lobby, that's where all the cosplayers congregate. That's where they do their photo shoots. That's the fountain, the outdoor area, the garden. That whole area is perfect and beautiful for photo shoots. A lot of really high-end, top-notch cosplayers come out to WonderCon because it's got one of the best areas, I would say, for cosplayers to take really good photos at. I did learn also, by the way, that C2E2 was also happening simultaneously. And I think there was another con. And I don't know if anybody, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the chat, but if anybody knows, but it was something like Pan Expo or something or other. They were all happening on the same weekend. So I will say that attendance was split, because I feel like most of the people that I do see at WonderCon, I did also see, like I was watching social media after the fact. I'm like, oh, this person were at C2E2. And it was like, okay, which is really interesting. I don't know if that's happened before, but it's what happened this year. And I'm sure on top of like everything else, like gas prices and travel costs and the things in the world that you have to do to travel right now, probably made a massive difference at all the cons this weekend, by the way. But still great turnout. Still a lot of really top, like I said, top-notch cosplayers. The food trucks were amazing. That's always my favorite part of WonderCon is all the food trucks. We have a video where we kind of reviewed and ate something from every food truck one year, and it was amazing. And I want to go back to doing that. I met some really great people involved with Comic-Con because of our booth kind of like being what it was and standing out a little bit. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, watch the videos. I think our booth was pretty awesome. Like I said, we talked about how you're going to love our booth, and we were serious about that. We had to make it a really, really, really good booth, which I think we did once more. But yeah, all the cosplayers and everything happens outside. I didn't see any of it really, aside from being in and out, going to like the Hilton FedEx or occasionally the Hilton bar, because sometimes you need a day drink. I'm from New Orleans. And also it's WonderCon. It's WonderCon, or like even at Comic-Con, like can't be expecting me to hang out all sober all the time. If you are sober, totally cool. Not holding that against you. Me, no, I wouldn't had a drink at the Hilton, because sometimes you need that midday drink, as well as, it's all part of the fun as well, right? But yeah, I guess I didn't get to see a lot of the cosplay. I had PAX. Okay. Somebody in the DINC Instagram, thank you. PAX and Planet Comic-Con were happening simultaneously with C2E2 and WonderCon. Thank you, Corazon. It's handmade. Yeah, it was like I said, like a slightly lighter crowd. I've been at WonderCon before where it was shoulder to shoulder. So I did notice that. And I'm sure a lot of people noticed that. I still did get to see a lot of people, but I do notice a lot of the cosplayers. I'm like, and it's fine. That's part of the fun as well, because you're out there, you're cosplaying, right? But there were people that were like, man, we were there, and I can't believe we didn't find the booth, or we didn't even go in there to see the booth. I will, guys, get in there, see the vendors, see what's going on. But like I said, maybe it's also a portion of everything was kind of spread out. I wish WonderCon being this year, I wish they would have condensed it a little bit, just tightened it up a little bit more. But I'm sure that they have really smart people on top of that, trying to figure that out for them. Way smarter than me, anyways. That probably figure out or configure all the layouts and those different things. But I do feel like there was an opportunity. But I don't know. Maybe we all need elbow room, and maybe good thing maybe we're not all on top of each other because everybody's getting sick apparently right now. Not me yet. Knock on wood. We'll go get an IV tomorrow. But we had a great time, y'all, and we spread a message. The other cool thing, not only we spread a message, we kind of told people what we're about. Like this is us. This is who we are. We're the Deep Versus Nerdcast. We're DINC Video. We are trying to bring you back to a simpler time. We're trying to spread love for physical media. We're trying to spread love for VHS tapes, which is, in my opinion, the vinyl record, a film. And yeah, like I said, create a whole energy, which I think we did. And then the other thing in that same vein, I was involved in a panel, which was crazy. Because let me explain. So the panel, by the way, was called The Future of Fandom VHS 24K. It was Dino Espinosa, Vicky Tunkel, Chris, whose last name I'm not going to try to butcher. But he's the one. He actually stumbled into DINC Video, and we talked cons, and he invited me to be part of the booth. Jared Virani, and myself. Let me see if I can. Okay. Kawajiwa? Chris Kawajiwa. Yeah, illustrator. Vicky was creative director at Foundry LA. Dino was a creative director at Foundry LA. Gerard was a motion designer and filmmaker. And then I felt like, I'll be honest with you guys, I felt like the most unqualified person there. I'm like, I'm just the podcaster guy who has a video store that he slapped together. They just recently got shut down and had to move. Oh, look, Chris. All right. Hopefully I didn't butcher your last name. I was trying not to. But yeah, it was a good time. Firstly, like I didn't know what to expect. I was invited on the Zoom call, and because I was at, setting up for WonderCon for 12 hours straight, pretty much, I was like, man, I'm the worst. I missed this whole thing. Am I going to go into this thing not prepared? But I think it worked out. Luckily for them, I am never silent. If you've obviously tuned into the podcast, I will say that my ADHD was kicking in. Ty, my producer, who was capturing clips of me sitting there, he's like, I noticed your feet, like you had like happy feet. They were dancing. And if you guys could see it at the table, my feet kind of do that all the time. They're a little tapping. I was like, I just was thinking in my head the whole time, like, don't interrupt. And I think I probably did interrupt once or twice or whatever. But it was a cool time. I will say, I was like, I've seen some of the panels in the rooms at WonderCon before, and I was expecting a small, like, one of those little quaint rooms in the 200s. We were in 300 C, and I walk into this beautiful, large auditorium. And really great discussion, really cool ability to meet people in the industry that are doing things for physical media, and as well as having the opportunity to have the discussion with fans of physical media and discussing, in a really cool, intelligent way, I think, what's going on with the industry from, streaming to versus physical media. And I know that our campaign does tend to be this death to streaming situation. And I got to correct this. I'm not anti-streaming whatsoever. We're just anti gatekeeping. And a lot of the major streamers now, A, everybody's merging because of this whole streaming thing. And then B, I think that a lot of streamers are losing sight of the experience, I think, for the consumer, for the viewer, for the customer. And, so that's, I guess, the breakdown. Like I'm all for Tubi. When I was trying to get my kids into Scooby-Doo, And I love that Tubi, by the way, has recently been trolling Netflix in the sense of we raised our price from free to free. Tubi's amazing. Great place to see streaming content. There's public libraries that are, that have streaming services, or a lot of public libraries are involved in one particular free streaming service that you can access through a public library. So streaming's not the enemy in the sense. Look, you're watching me streaming, so right. I'm streaming is not the enemy in that sense. But I feel like once more we've gotten to a place where, and this is why we like to do this here with the Deep Issues Nerdcast, and why we like to have things like DINC video and hopefully be at more conventions, is because we want to be welcoming to and reconnect with our communities. Especially, I think after a point during the pandemic when we were all so isolated, and I actually ran into somebody this weekend that was like, I enjoyed the streaming things and I enjoyed the isolation of the pandemic and all that. And if that's you, like, I'm not here to put you down on what makes you feel good or what you enjoy to live your best life. Live your best life. But I think a lot of people out there recognized that they wanted to be with communities, and that we have moved into an age where we are all separated, and that we are all living in different spaces, but somehow sharing an experience. And it's like, but not discussing or talking. And that's, obviously the exchange of ideas and information is, I think, something that most people want. Or not. I don't know if you don't want that. That's cool too. And once more, not here to knock anybody. But so I'm not against streaming in the sense I'm just for people getting back to communities and, engaging and discussing the things that we love and sharing those things together side by side versus from, through a computer screen or a phone screen. Social media, although it's still called social media, it's more media now than ever. And the social aspect has kind of gone away, or not completely. I'm not saying completely, but it has. So it was cool to really be a part of that panel and share that space with people who are working within media and within physical media, and ways to contribute to the art that we all do love and consume and share, even digitally, right? So I'm not against it. Once more, I do, once more, just want people to connect. So that's why the motto, death to streaming, not death to all streaming. We need to still hit, that like and subscribe button here to the Deeper Issues Nerdcast channel. But maybe, get away from some of the gatekeeping that some of these bigger conglomerates have, and send messages that we want certain things. One thing I didn't really get to talk about that at some point maybe I would like to dive in further would be how streaming services maybe, and I've said this before, I think, how I thought when it seemed like Netflix was about to take over Warner Brothers or merge Warner Brothers into Netflix, if mind you, this doesn't get blocked, that's still an opportunity that the Paramount Skydance, friggin' edition of Warner Brothers could get blocked by regulators if they find their balls. It's possible, right? And in that case, then what? Warner Brothers walks away with like $7 billion anyways. Woo. David Zaslav still puts some more money in his pocket. That was the other thing, is I couldn't curse on that panel. Because usually, if you've tuned into the Deeper Issues Nerdcast, I don't really refer to David Zaslav as just David Zaslav. In fact, specifically, what I say is that fuck David Zaslav.
Damn.
Because, he's going to walk away with $750 million while a lot of people are going to be put out of work. So yeah, that fuck David Zaslav. I couldn't say that. I could only say David Zaslav. But that still could not happen, and for the better, hopefully. But I fell down a pothole, you guys. Where was I? It was when the Netflix merger was going to happen. and they were going to absorb Warner Brothers. I don't know where I was getting with that. We'll table that. I'll revisit it. Has anybody got instant replay? I was just going on there. Oh, I know what I was saying. When that was going to happen, I anticipated that there's this thing that Amazon did with diapers.com. And Netflix is very much about that second screen experience, about keeping people isolated kind of at home, watching continuous play. And that's why I don't think they're really pro theaters. But so this Amazon strategy originally with diapers.com was Amazon wanted to buy diapers.com. Diapers.com's like, no, we're staying in our lane. We're profitable. We're just are what we are. And diapers.com always sold diapers better than price than Amazon. So what Amazon then did is like, well, if you're not going to sell to us, what we're going to do is, since we're a massive company, we're going to just sell diapers at a loss. We're going to take a loss here just to make people buy diapers from us and forget all about you. And then when they started doing that, obviously diapers.com went under. Amazon absorbed all their assets, the rest of their stuff. I thought that was going to be the plan with Netflix. I thought Netflix was going to hurt the film industry, hurt the theater industry. And then not to say that Netflix is the only problem the theater industry has. There's a lot of stuff that we can blame on studio executives. There's a lot of stuff that we can blame on the theater experience wherever you're at. I mean, we're spoiled and lucky here in Orange County. I'm very well aware about if you're a movie buff or a moviegoer, you're blessed. Is a great area to be in. But I was pretty sure that Netflix was going to do that, and then the AMCs or the Regals or the Cinemarks of the world would start kind of going under and starting to shut down. And guess who was going to step in and be the hero and buy out some of these movie theaters? I thought Netflix at some point was going to acquire some of these theater chains, and not all the theater chains, or more theater chains. And then Netflix would start their own brand of theater chains. Now, Netflix, I will say this, whether you have Warner Brothers or not, I don't know Netflix's CEO's name off the top of my head, but I would encourage you to open up Netflix theaters in different spots across the country, or partner with a theater chain, even smaller ones, and create a Netflix style movie experience where not only people would be able to watch Netflix films for more than 2 days at a time, maybe have, a nice little 30-day release window at least for some of your stuff, and give people the option, but they could also sell physical media there. Like, wouldn't it be cool if you can buy merch and all these different things? I know they have partners through like Hot Topic and, Box Lunch, which I think is the same company, or wherever else Netflix, I'm sure, is selling their products. But it would be cool. Why don't you just start a hub for some of your stuff and create more jobs within that industry, I think, and create a need to go to a movie theater again. The other thing I was going to say is I think trailers should also just become movie theater exclusives. That's the one thing that bothers me. We're such a trailer heavy society, I would love for trailers to like have at least like a 7-day window where they don't hit the internet. And if you want to watch that trailer within the first 7 days, you'd have to go to a movie theater and watch it in a theater. Sure, leaks will happen, but it is what it is. I would still give it a shot. But I would love to see one of these streaming services partner or help create more movie theaters and more places where people can have shared, single-focused experiences. Dr. Grant's on it. Yeah, Chris, I definitely turned on the PG filter for the panel. Not saying that fuck David Zasloff took every fiber of my being. Ooh, just like, I can't say it. But I didn't. So you're welcome, America. All right. That was really cool. I loved the panel. It was a really good time. Not only was it a good time hearing for reasons why people enjoy physical media or streaming, or had that kind of open discussion with us, which I love. And if I had been on the Zoom meeting, I would have definitely known about it. But I loved that Dino kind of also had points where he was kind of asking people for their perspectives as well. I thought that was really cool, as well as it was lovely sitting with some of the folks that I was sitting with up there at that panel, and I took my little name tag and I brought it home with me as well. Um, I Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that, to be honest with you guys. And it was something that kind of I had forgotten about, but I remember last year uh, having two goals in the sense of the following Comic Con, not just maybe to be an exhibitor, but it was to be on a panel and or moderate a panel. And Comic Con's still around the corner, so I'm still hoping to be able to get on and moderate one of those really cool panels. Yeah. All right. David Zasloff, put me on there. If anybody, those people all go to Comic Con or not. Cool. Yeah, WonderCon was cool. If you guys can go to our Instagram, either DINC Video or Deep Racers Nerdcast, our wonderful in-house producer, Mr. Ty died, Mr. Ty Photography, coming through and making sure we had a nice little documentation or a wrap-up of each and every day, as well as he put together that lovely little montage at the beginning. If you watched our video podcast, actually, you know what I thought about on audio, that's not going to make sense, so I'm going to cut that out. So probably didn't hear it on audio, but if you watched us live or have watched our video podcast here on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitch, then you got to see that really cool montage you put together. If not, we're going to also probably throw it up online. Yeah, that was that. That was WonderCon. It was wonderful. Would we do it again? Absolutely. I think we're going to do it again. There's a possibility that there's another major con at the Anaheim Convention Center. I'm not going to jinx us or plug it just yet, that we could be working with. There's a possibility you can see us pop up at a bunch of really cool other spaces as well. As far as like fandom, nerd culture in Orange County, California, the Deep Racers Nerdcast wants to be there, wants to be part of it, and wants to hopefully make it better or leave it better than we found it, kind of deal. So that's our mission. That's what we're going to do. See you at the next con, hopefully. I'll tell you, I probably will be there myself and Ty. I don't know if Diddy and the rest of our crew, we might go to Comic-Con Revolution, hopefully as press. There's a lot of really cool guests there that we'd like to create some content with, as well as we would love to kind of, film some of our cosplayer friends, some of our creator friends, and discuss some of the cool things happening there. Thank you, by the way, if you've thrown us a like, if you've been kind of sticking around with us. I am trying to keep an eye on the chats in all of them here, all of our different spots. Oh, San Diego Comic-Con panel application just opened up. We'll see. I think they owe me a press badge too. Comic-Con, all right? Let's be real here. The other thing, let me see what else came out of WonderCon before I move on. We don't have anything in today's haul. Normally we'd go into the haul of what we got, as well as cover some of the news, which I will cover some of the news, and then we're going to go in our interview with Bob Gurr. I was saying that we're going to have a short episode, but here I am rambling on 40 minutes in, so it'll probably be a normal sized episode. I think that was it. Like we met some really cool people. Oh, Nerd Nest Collectibles. Shout out to them. They had some really cool VHS related stuff as well. We were right across from the Anaheim Library. All about the library, supporting the libraries. Shout out to the Golden Apple Foundation that was there. Shout out to Charles Fleischer, who came out on Saturday. We were in a really cool area in our booth. We were kind of like catty cornered from Jim Cummings, the voice of Pocahontas, the voices from Dexter's Lab. We were like across from a lot of really cool voice actors. We were right across from Prism. Our good friend David Boer was there, popping in from time to time, enjoying, who had one of my favorite things to say about our booth of the weekend. He came up to me and goes, "How do you know what the inside of my brain looks like?" And I was like, because we visited, we know what your brain looks like, David. If you haven't read David's Ghostbuster comic, really amazing. Yeah, it was a good time. It was like I said, definitely we'll be doing again. Keep a lookout. Our next event. So actually, two events coming up. Chapman Crafted. We're gonna have another movie night on Monday, and I'm thinking about screening Election. If you don't know about our movie nights at Chapman Crafted Brewery in Orange, California, we hook up the VCR to a very giant screen and we play a movie. And in the vein of MTV going away, disappearing, this is the first year we've been without MTV, and more than likely, the MTV, I think, data library online is being wiped away by MTV. Well, I don't know why. As somebody who creates massive amounts of redundancies for all of his footage and is filling up every possible hard drive around him, MTV, hold on, you're erasing history. But we'll see. I'm going to be doing the movie Election. So if you've never seen the movie Election, let's just say it. We're going to be screening Election. Election stars Matthew Broderick and young Reese Witherspoon. It is an MTV film. It came out in 1999. It is a dark comedy, and it is a Alexander Payne film, and it's brilliant. If you guys, I think Chris Klein's also in it, but if you don't know Alexander Payne, really like masterful director. Did the movie Sideways. He's done what's the other movie? I'm sorry, The Holdovers recently, which is one of my that year, in my opinion, The Holdovers should have definitely won a lot of awards. He's done some episodes. He did About Schmidt. And then let's see what else he did. He did there's another TBC did a few episodes, at least one episode of the show. It might have been the pilot episode. I could be wrong. And he also did the movie Downsizing, which I loved Downsizing, by the way, because the problem with Downsizing is, if you don't remember it, it's a movie with Matt Damon where people are allowed to shrink themselves in order to not give in to the consumer culture and create less waste and try to save the earth. And there's a whole subculture of people who do shrink themselves. And it was like kind of like advertised as a little bit of a slapstick film. And I don't think it performed well because it was not that. I think it got mixed reviews because people went in expecting one thing from the trailer and then got a completely almost different. It is about exactly what it sounds like, but it was a much deeper story than that. I guess about our humans and our place in the world. And I just watch it. Downsizing. Watch it without having any expectations from the trailer. Don't watch the trailer because the trailer doesn't do it justice. But it is a really great movie. But Alexander Payne also directed the 1999 MTV film starring Matthew Broderick, young Chris Klein, young Reese Witherspoon, Election. And that's what we're going to be screening. I don't know. We're going to go through the gamut, I guess, of MTV films. We'll probably have to do Joe's Apartment at some point as well. We're going to have to do Beavis and Butthead Do America. And then maybe we even go through a few Nickelodeon films. Yeah, that's going to happen on Monday, this coming Monday. We're taking over, like I said, every first Monday of the month at Chapman Crafted. So Monday, the 6th, we're going to be screening Election, as well as having Brew Crew Smash Burgers out there. If you guys have not had Brew Crew, their burgers are top notch. I cannot wait to get back with them, as well as some of the great drink specials over at Chapman Crafted Beer. The first of our many MTV movies that we're going to be screening. Following that, we're going to be doing El Brujo's 5th year anniversary once more at Chapman Crafted. El Brujo, another one of my favorite smash burgers. Shout out to Caesar at El Brujo. I'm genuinely very excited. Initially, when you had asked me, I think, to do the anniversary, the 5-year anniversary, it was on WonderCon weekend. I said yes before I even thought about it because I love El Brujo burgers so much that I was like, yeah, I definitely want to be a part of it. I love your events. I love Caesar and his energy, his vibes, as well as I just like to eat a lot of burgers. But yeah, I was like, the opportunity to bring DINC video to the people of Orange, that'd be really, really cool. And it was on WonderCon weekend. I'm like, well, we can't do it. I'm sorry. I said yes too quickly. But as it turns out, he moved it to another weekend. Not because of us, because whatever other things were happening, But it then gave us the opportunity to then do that, as well as there is a physical media day at the Frida the following day, the 12th, where Play It by Fear is going to be screening, I want to say Poltergeist, last I checked, and we're going to be given full range of the Frida Cinemas library to turn it into a DINC video once more, as well as with other really cool vendors. And yeah, that's going to be a good time. So 3 events, as well as our new space in the Friedman Building opening up. We will have that information on our social media just keep an eye out at DINC Video, at Deep British Nerdcast. We'll be posting on both. That's the events that we got going on. That was WonderCon. We don't have a hall. We still have some signed copies of Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Best of Roger Rabbit that we're going to be throwing up in our Whatnot stores. If you also don't know, we're going to be on Whatnot. We are on Whatnot at DINC Video, and we'll be having some of our Death to Streaming shirts up there for sale as well. We still have a small stock of Death to Streaming shirts. This is one of the white ones, which I think I'm going to also produce a small stock of as well, because I like the way that it looks in the white with the DINC Video logo on the back and the Death to Streaming on the front and the Death to Streaming on the back. The gray ones have the Death to Streaming on the front and then a small little DINC logo on the back if you're not trying to be a billboard for DINC Video right away. I don't know why you wouldn't want to be, but if you didn't want to be, it's okay. We have those as well. Cool. I think that's it for me, all. It's been a great week. Genuinely can't believe how awesome it was. Once more, having the legendary voice of Roger Rabbit in our space, in our booth, in that really cool area with all those other voice actors, getting the opportunity to share a really cool space with some other amazing panelists where we had a really great discussion about everything from 4K to VHS, and being first-time exhibitors and hearing some really just wonderful things from wonderful people about the space. It really was a labor of love, as well as meeting everybody that came through, seeing what people were discovering in our booth, and just genuinely having a good time. It was exhausting, but it was all very worth it. And I can't wait to do it again. All over. That being said, on Sunday, we had the one and only Bob Gurr at our booth. And I have a nice little interview that's going to conclude our show with Bob Gurr. And Bob is essentially the guy who made Disneyland move. If you don't know who Bob Gurr is one of the last living Imagineers hired directly by Walt Disney. Bob is 94, but just like so full of life and amazing and great energy, which you're about to hear from this interview. I wanted to not cut up the interview. Normally we cut up the interviews and throw it up as clips on our social media just to kind of get the information that we want. But that the moment with Bob, that he was so nice to sit on our crappy little green couch in our fun little space. He took a cool photo. If you go to our DINC Video on Instagram, you'll see Bob just sprawled out on our couch having a great time. What Bob recognized a little bit later is you guys don't realize that. So we've had this brick wall facade in the Deep British Nerdcast studio since we've launched, kind of, right? It was available at Home Depot at the time. Apparently it's been discontinued. And I have not been able to find this brick wall facade anywhere else. And Bob Gurr had a podcast or a talk show on YouTube. And they stopped doing that show. Shout out to Ernie Alonso, his manager, and then the owner of Fandom Productions and Haunted OC. He was going to get rid of, I guess, all the facades and stuff that made up Bob Gurr's set. And there's a lot of cool tchotchkes and stuff everywhere. Obviously, I didn't get my hands on that, but he was like, do you want these walls and these columns to use for your podcast or your video store that I don't think at the time I even realized I was doing a video store. I was just like, I had just kind of started doing the video store, and it just like all the things, like it was like Field of Dreams, like all the things just happened at once to be able to make DINC Video. I'm like, yes, I'm already using these brick wall facades for the podcast set. Like, this is a portable version of it. Let's get this stuff. And I modified them and changed them and did some different things to them. So fitting that our booth and our pop-ups are actually reconstitutions or reconstructions of the Bob Gurr set of his talk show because it already kind of matched our aesthetic. And then, just a few months later, here I have the incomparable, the one and only legend, Bob Gurr at our booth. And, obviously, hopefully the space felt pretty familiar to him, but he has basically designed everything that kind of moves at Disneyland. He designed the original vehicles for Autopia, engineered ride systems like the Matterhorn bobsled, designed the original monorail. And Bob will kind of get into what he did exactly as far as like, these are very broad terms, right? But he created the Disneyland Omnibus. He helped develop vehicles like the flying saucers. He'll give you like I said, the breakdown. It's like the Tom Wilson song. It's like, what does a producer do? I don't know. Bob will give you a breakdown of what it was being an Imagineer and what his involvement was in all these different things. But definitely Disneyland would not be Disneyland without him. And I was very lucky to have these 9 minutes here with Bob Gurr that I'm going to play in its entirety for you right now. So enjoy my interview here with Bob Gurr.
Oh my glob.
And would not be Disneyland without this man. The vehicle, what we say, vibes. I'm like, Disneyland would not be Disneyland without this man. The vehicles, the motion, the magic. He helped build it all. We have the one and only Bob Gurr at our booth. Bob, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, pleased to meet you. I love your little cozy home here.
Well, this
In
is
a great big show like this is just so nice. You got this cool couch. I've never seen one on a booth before.
We were trying to, our booth was very intentional in the sense of we wanted what we say vibes. I'm like, it's one thing, yeah, we're going to sell stuff, but I want the energy here, the good vibrations, and that's what we were trying to kind of bring. So coming from you, that means a lot because this was a labor of love. So I want to talk to you, I guess, a little bit about, all right, so we all know your accomplishments. I'm sure you've had many of the interviews where the people talk about all the different things that you've helped design at Disneyland, like the monorail, the dune buggies, Autopia. What's a thing that you've done that you're proud of that you feel like you want to get a little bit more recognition, or maybe people don't talk about enough, that's maybe a detail that you would like to bring a little bit more to the light?
I never helped with any design of some of these vehicles. I designed the entire thing, exterior, interior, all the mechanical, and I was the test driver.
That's a big job.
That's beyond help.
That is much more beyond help. I found out a few little fun facts. So you were an advisor for the animatronic for the T-Rex on Jurassic Park. And then I also found out that you were a little bit more involved in the Godzilla monster in the '98 Godzilla movie.
Yes, not more than involved. I designed the entire mechanical machine of that 30-foot tall Godzilla. And then Patrick Tatopoulos, his people were doing all the lizards and everything. And they did the skin for Godzilla. It was a very good-looking Godzilla.
Yeah.
Beautifully done. That was a Roland Emmerich developed movie. They had no trouble with that as an animated creature. Normally, I would never touch the controls, which in the movie we call it a Waldo.
Okay.
But in the case of Godzilla, we got the machine all done, and they says, Bob, you want to drive it? and they had feedback type of cylinders. In other words, you can't hurt it. So I grabbed this frame and I wiggled it around to have the Godzilla before the skin went out, the screaming thing 30 foot tall, just waving all over, and I'm driving it. That was the thrill of my life, to actually operate a big animated creature.
Yeah, that's a pretty, the two King of the Monsters, King Kong and Godzilla,
Yeah.
you have them under your belt. Like,
Yep.
I also, I do stuff like this, and I also think about it from like a fan perspective. How is that for you? Like, what is that? Are you, obviously, you got to be a fan whenever you're putting that much labor into your craft.
Basically, everything I did about 100 jobs for Walt and 150 for everybody else when I was the president for 20 years of my own company, Gurr Design Incorporated, every job I did had not been done before. So everything I did was different. So theoretically, I never got good at anything, but everything was completely different. I can't imagine a better job than that in which somebody will bring you something, an entrepreneur with a crazy idea, and then they expect you to cut metal and make a machine that's going to work and do what they wanted. Like the last big one was the Pirate Battle Show in Las Vegas at the Treasure Island Hotel.
Oh, that's amazing.
A hotel owner wants to sink a ship on Las Vegas Boulevard, not hide it out of sight if it doesn't work. It's going to work every day. And it did, every day. And it involved fire and stunt people, a lot of dangerous things, electricity underwater. Every one of those things was never scary. It was a new idea. If it had not been done, I was really interested in it. But going back to what you had questioned earlier, I never did anything to get attention or to get recognized. I did it because somebody wanted it. They asked me to do it, and I did it.
That's amazing. That's how it should be, right? That's, as an artist. No, I love that. Back to somebody telling you what to do. Obviously, a lot of people are going to recognize your work with Walt Disney. Whenever we hear about like the Walt Disneys, the Steve Jobs of the world, they're remembered a certain way, but then obviously like when you're in those high pressure working situations, the people that work with them will always tell you kind of how that is. Were there any points that you got with Walt where maybe he pushed you doing something that you didn't think was possible, or that you were like, oh, he did this and it made my idea better, or anything of that nature?
Number one, Walt never pushed. He asked. He would always approach somebody, whether a new idea or while we're doing something. Bob, what do you think of? We'd like to try to do this. Do you think something like that would work?
It's awesome.
That was the general way that he would talk to somebody, unlike a lot of people who would give orders and threaten you if you didn't do it right. Walt never did that. If you threaten somebody, they will never give you interesting ideas ever again. Stop and think of that. Don't ever insult a creative person. They will automatically, pull their thoughts closer to themselves because they don't want to get hurt again by saying you blew it, you didn't do that right. Always ask. Let a person figure out, what do you think of this idea? In your mind, you may have to do this. What do you think of it before you are told to do something? Never tell somebody.
That's
Ask.
great advice.
Yeah.
Especially, exactly. In so many of the creative collaborative works that we're all consistently doing. The last thing I guess I'll ask you, I won't take up too much more of your time. There's this Maya Angelou quote that I love that is, people aren't going to remember necessarily what you said or did, but they'll remember the way you made them feel. Obviously, you created a feeling within a lot of people. When people think Bob Gurr, how do you want them to feel?
Well, that's a common question. It's up to everybody else as to what they think of what I did. I'm not about to, after having done all this, try to position myself to be thought of in some particular manner. It's up to our guests to give their opinion of what somebody did. That means I get to enjoy what I'm doing because I love to do stuff that's never been done before. Most people are terrified. I've never been terrified at this stuff. But when I get something all done that was risky looking and sounding, and to me, it was not risky because we go methodically figuring out all the possibilities. You don't just suddenly go in one direction without thinking about it. You have all these little alternatives, choosing every detail as you go, every day, all day long. That way you never get surprised.
That's awesome. There's I guess another quote about how everybody thinks something's impossible until one crazy person comes along and does it. And you are definitely one of those crazy people in the best possible way that came along and did a lot of impossible things. And I can't thank you enough for being here at our booth. I can't thank you enough for all of your contributions. And when I think Bob Gurr, I think of a great feeling. So I appreciate you,
Okay.
sir.
This is not a booth. This is a home. Look at this beautiful home. Oh my gosh, we got Goofy on TV here. Look at all this. This is so much fun in here. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Thank you. All
Take
right.
it easy. How crazy is that? Bob Gurr, y'all. I was blown away out of a lot of the compliments that I got. This man who is a renowned designer. He was very and I should have got it on camera. I wish I got it on camera, but I will never forget it about him just talking about how much he loved our booth. And out of all the years he's been doing all these conventions, about how it's one of the best booths he's seen. And yeah, I can't. That was definitely a good feather in my cap to say Bob Gurr loved our space, loved our booth, and what great words and advice, right? As a creative, from everything of like you don't push people to do things you, especially creative people, asking, and then, yeah, just the man's modesty, the man's insight and knowledge, and the fact that he also test drove his own creations. That's, if you're not going to test drive your own stuff, don't expect anybody else to do it for you. Very admirable, living legend right there, Bob Gurr, y'all. That's it. That's it for the Deep Rooted Nerdcast. Look, we'll be back next week with a normal episode. It won't just be me here talking for an hour straight. We will have Diddy, Ty. We will break down all of the crazy, because there's a lot of really crazy news. I was gonna go through all of it, of like the Buffy series getting canceled. I'll wait. We'll wait for the crew to chime in on it. And Nerdsplain. There's an Aunt Gladys prequel. There's all sorts of things that are happening in the world of pop culture, and the world of fandom. And we're here to Nerdsplain it, to discuss it, to share it. Yeah, that's it, y'all. My name is Pablo Romero Estevez. If you've liked this episode, if you're listening to us on audio, please give us a nice review. Give us that 5-star. It helps us out tremendously. Go ahead and hit that like button. Drop a comment. Give it a share if you'd like to as well. Definitely would be most appreciated. Yeah, that's it. Until next week, next Wednesday, next New Comic Book Day. Be kind, broad mind, and may all of your issues be comic books.
Fantasies of God.